So, I've been talking about plenty and abundance and all of that stuff that November brings up, but for some reason, and I always follow the reason, on Thursday, the whole topic changed. It shifted. So, what we are going to talk about this morning is making peace with the past. So, if this is for you, thank you for the inspiration on Thursday. And I felt that we needed to really get into letting go and embracing the past. Not pushing it away, but embracing the past. And we do this by engaging, embracing, and empowering life. And so what do I mean by that? So we'll take those three things real quick. Engaging life in the lowercase L, which is us humans. It means the human experience is being present, being conscious, being involved, and being active in our own lives, and not just sleepwalking through life as maybe we find ourselves doing sometimes. But not to be on automatic pilot, but to consciously be living. The second one, deeply embracing life with a capital L. Meaning the greater life, meaning God, meaning the great I am, the power for good in the universe that we can use, because we can all use this power for good. It's there, always, always there. Make conscious connection with that power. And empowering our life means standing strong in who and whose we are. Standing strong and really knowing we are so much more than all circumstances, so much more than all of these things that go in and pass and through our lives. We have within us the power to create the most magnificent lives. And knowing that all of this leads to an extraordinary life that we can all live and create, because we create. So I want to remind you of something I've said in the past. Who you are and the power you are is extraordinary. Who you are and the power that you possess is extraordinary. That's for something that we might have forgotten, that we have a power that is extraordinary. And both you and that power are really phenomenal. And that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. The spiritual truth, which is the only real truth, of who each and every one of us is. But we don't always feel it. We don't always express it, right? One of those reasons could be that we let the shadows from the past, the hurts, the disappointments, sometimes trauma, we let that hurt us, and it puts a damper on our moving ahead, and it haunts us. It haunts us so that we cannot embody and embrace and live an empowered life. We gather to reconcile the past. This is what we want to do. We want to reconcile and embrace the past. We do not want to deny the past, push it away. We want to embrace it. And by embracing it, we then put it where it belongs, in the past. And I'm going to get into that in the talk today. Religious science founder Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind, if we take the images of thought only from our previous experiences, then we continue in the bondage with which those previous experiences create. If we talk about discord, we shall become more discordant. If we spend our time talking about our unhappiness, we will become more unhappy. Jesus understood this great law of cause and effect, Holmes writes, in the universe. He understood it, which works sometimes with apparent slowness, but always with shortness. Things don't always happen in the time that we want them to happen. They happen in divine timing, but we keep that vision, that desire, really steadfast in our minds. So what did he mean? What did he mean, Ernest Holmes, by, and quoting Jesus, the great cause of law and effect? Whatever is in our consciousness, and we know our consciousness is our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our values, our reactions, our responses, everything that makes up who we are, that's our consciousness. We experience anything we hold in that consciousness, we experience in our lives. And a lot of the time it's in the subconscious. So we're not even aware that we are creating. But we're always creating. We're never not creating. So the question of the morning is, are there painful or unhealed aspects of the past hanging around your consciousness, thereby affecting your present situation and your future? It's something for us to really, at some point in our lives, to really understand and go to, because if left unhealed, your past can absolutely destroy the future. And it also messes up the present. It's not fun in the present if you've got this thing going on from your past that you have not dealt with. And I hope today that we can do that we can do some of it. If we bury our gifts, our creativity, our talents, our love, and our power, we're taking away all of that greatness that is the truth of who we are. Have you ever seen a mime try to get out of the box? You know, that whole thing there? I can't do it, but you know what I mean. Well, that's kind of what we're going to get into today. That's what an unhealed past can do to us. That invisible box. It can be like a box that we were put in a very long time ago. And although the walls have not been there for many years, we still struggle. We still struggle against the walls that are not even there anymore. In fact, our unhealed past can cause us to act like, and I'm going to give us an example. It's a little sad, but, or the animal people, which is just about everyone here. It's about an elephant. So it's going to be like that elephant, that whole box thing. The elephant who is trained, and they're trained how to behave. And I'm really glad a lot of the circuses are not doing these things anymore, not in existence anymore. But anyway, this is the story. It goes with the talk. So the trainer captures the elephant who is young and tethers one of his legs to a tree with a chain. The elephant struggles and struggles to get free from from the tree. It pulls and it pulls against the chain. But finally, after months of struggling, the elephant gives up. And then the trainer ties the elephant to the tree, that one leg, with a rope, and repeats that process. Later, the trainer ties the elephant with something even lighter. Finally, he can take the elephant into the jungle, where it labors uncomplainingly, tethered with the reed of a lotus flower. The elephant will not even think about breaking free for freedom. It won't even think about that, because it has been trained to believe that the slightest tug on his leg means it's captured, even if it's a lotus reed. But that animal, even though he's not tied to this tree by anything, still believes he is. He still has that belief. It's the only thing that's holding back the elephant, is the belief that he's tied to the tree. So yes, dragging around that past can feel like that. It really can. And I would make two suggestions this morning that can assist you in making peace, because it's all about making peace with our past. If we haven't done it already, and maybe there's something just kind of hanging around in there that we might not even be aware of, but it is there, that we need to also just make peace with it. Just make peace with it. So these two things are, one is to change the perception of your past. Perception is everything. Change the perception of what took place. And the first one begins with that realization that you need to come to. If you don't come to this realization, no peace can be made. You might not like what I'm going to say, but here it goes anyway. You cannot change your past. You cannot change your past. You can't change your past. The past is the past. It is what it is. It was what it was. Okay? And all the wishing, hoping, hand-wringing, arguing, righteous indignation and foot-stomping and angry tantrums, no matter how justified they may be. They could be very justified, but they will do nothing to change the past, but will do everything to keep you tethered to it. So please say this after me. I cannot change my past.
I cannot change my past.
Good. Good. Now we've got that straight. We're moving on. So what can we do then? Well, we can do something very, very powerful, because we are powerful beings, yeah? We change our perception of the past. Because it is only our perception of the past that has power over the now anyway. It's our perception of what took place in this now moment. We really do interpret everything in life. That's what we do. We interpret everything in life. And the situations or experiences that happen really have no meaning other than the meaning that we give to them. We have the ability to choose interpretations that empower our lives and move forward, or interpretations that leave us alone and left behind and feeling helpless. And so there was a young man who was paraplegic, and then through some freak accident became quadriplegic. Someone asked him one day, doesn't your physical condition color the way you look at life? And his response was, yes, I suppose it does, but I get to choose the color. We get to choose. We get to choose. Never forget that. We do get to choose. You get to choose what story you want to live by. If you don't like the old story, let's make up a new story. Make up a new story, a new interpretation of it. Inventing a new interpretation is the simplest way to make peace with the past, by giving up the idea that our story is the truth. I remember when I was really into my story, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to even hear this talk, because yes, this is what happened to me. You can't tell me all that stuff. It happened. I know what I'm feeling. But again, when the more we do this healing, a lot of forgiveness work, the more we do this healing work, the more we get to choose the interpretation. I've changed my whole story now. I have a new story, and it feels much better to me. And I'm going to get into this, not about me, but about Debbie Ford, actually. How changing your perspective of the story of the past can change everything. So the late Debbie Ford, in her book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, which I know we all love, those of us that have read it, talks about, in chapter 8, reinventing yourself. We can reinvent ourselves. And in it, she gives this example from her own life that I want to share with you. And this is on page 123 of the book, if you have the book. She shares the word ugly, and it had a huge emotional charge for her. So she decided to choose a new interpretation for it, for the word. When she went back to her memory, she realized that her father had used this, not that word, but he used to tease her by calling her Bucky and Pig Nose, these cute little names, when she was a little girl. Her interpretation of those comments, because you know children interpret immediately and hold that in their mind to their perception, was that her father didn't really love her because she was ugly. So she decided it was time to face the incident and experience the feelings of the pain, of the humiliation, of the shame, and she still attached to the moment when she heard those words and to the word. Then she began to create a new interpretation in order to embrace the word. So here are she writes this in her book, some of the interpretations. My father hated me and was trying to damage me for life. One interpretation. Another. My father thought I was ugly, and the only way he could deal with it was by teasing me. Or, I am beautiful, so my father became nervous around me. The only way he knew how to deal with his nervousness was by calling me names that he thought was cute. Moving into, my father thought these names were cute and used them with affection. And my father loved me so much he wanted to prepare me for the real world. He thought he could protect me by downplaying my beauty. She does this process in her book, and we can do this at home if we like. And Debbie writes this. This is what she wrote. Now I can look at all the interpretations and see which one makes me feel good and which ones make me feel bad. And I can choose to replace my old negative interpretation with a new positive one. The new interpretation I chose in that instant was that my father loved me so much he wanted to prepare me for the real world. He thought by downplaying my beauty, he could protect me. And she writes, I picked it because it made me laugh. It seemed a little ridiculous when I wrote it down, but when I closed my eyes and asked myself which interpretation nurtured my soul, that was the one. Once I chose to replace that old interpretation, my internal reference point shifted. Now my father's old habit seems almost light and sweet, regardless of his true motives. I'm now at peace with that experience. So we can use this exercise with anything that takes place in our lives. Once we've got over the trauma of dealing with whatever we're dealing with, and we just want to create new lives and we're not doing it, that means that something is holding us back. And that something is within us. It's not out here. It will always be in here. And here's some important questions. How does this interpretation of my past empower me or disempower me? Does this interpretation make me feel weak or make me feel strong? If you have an inner dialogue that disempowers you, that makes you feel weak, it won't change until you yourself replace it with a positive, powerful, internal conversation. Sometimes I have to sit myself right down and have a good talk with myself. I do. And I say that. I'm going to have a good talk with you today, Mark. So sit yourself down. And I have a good talk with myself, like what is going on? You know, the stuff that's coming up. If you journal, great, write it down. And then come up with something. You can neutralize anything, which I'm going to talk about briefly, by coming up with a strong affirmation to disempower that which doesn't serve. Ernest Holmes, in his Science of Mind book, wrote, any incident that has transpired in the past is an active thing in the present, unless the vibration is neutralized. And I love his neutrality, how he neutralizes. So we have an old belief that is just continuously going on, going on. The only way to neutralize that is to meet it with for me it's always affirmations. It's a new thought, a new story, an affirmation, just to neutralize it. It's from that point of neutrality that we can really create what we want. Because we haven't pushed something away, we've embraced it, we've just taken the power out of it. That power that was holding us back. So that's the first suggestion for making peace. Neutralize, make up a new story. And the second one is look for the good. All seeming negative events are a blessing in disguise. Doesn't always feel that way. In fact, it never feels that way. Not to me anyway, I can speak for myself. So I have to do work around that stuff. I have to do work around it. Some of us choose to live under the illusion that bad things happen for no good reason. But pain has a purpose. Pain always has a purpose, especially emotional pain. It always has it teaches us, it guides us to higher levels of awareness. Our past is a blessing that guides and teaches. So look for the good in it. I can actually look back on the past, on that childhood thing, with peace, because I've done the healing work around it. I was so tired of being beat up by it, by myself, in the present moment of what took place so many years ago, that I was stuck in this box and recreating relationships that showed, yeah, you're going to be abused forever, because here's another relationship to abuse you. And until we can regain our power and say, something's wrong with this, let me go back, let me find, well, I can find, okay, let's see, what could have mommy done? Because I couldn't find one good thing in that thing for many years. And I said, all right, she made me strong. She gave me the tools to be resilient. I was able to persevere no matter what. So there are many good things that I can take from a situation that did not look that good. So look for the good. Our past is a blessing. So let's just say, my past is a blessing that guides and teaches me. Everybody say that.
My past is a blessing that guides and teaches me.
Just breathe that in. Yes. And say this. Repeat this after me. I bless my past and my pain.
I bless my past and my pain.
It is important to understand that everything happening in this world is as it should be at every moment. It's really a great awareness to come into. There are no mistakes. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. Sometimes it is challenging to really believe this when we're going through stuff. So much, and right now, so much is happening on our planet, in our country, in our lives. There's so much that's taking place in our lives. How are we choosing to respond to any of it? How are we choosing to respond in our thinking and our actions? Because we do get to choose. We can choose to live in fear and lack, or make decisions that empower us. That's all on us. We can't blame situations anymore for things. We can, but see where it gets you. It's not where I want to be. Take ownership. Make peace with it. Make peace with it. Or do we simply let it go, just let go, and just realize we are so much more than that circumstance, than that situation, that this too will pass, because it always does, but the spiritual truth of the power of who we are remains strong. When we choose to respond in ways that serve us, that empower us, that's how we make peace. That's how we make peace with the past, so that we can embrace and empower our lives today. And I want to end with some simple, so I like simple, yet powerful, counsel from Charles Fillmore. He says, "Do not look at what has been. Lot's life tried that, and she never got beyond the past." You know Lot from the Bible. And then Ernest Holmes tells us, "We should erase the thoughts of yesterday that would rob us of today's happiness." Oh my God, that's so good. Let me repeat that. We should erase the thoughts of yesterday that would rob us of today's happiness. Every day, wake up with an intention. Wake up with an intention that you're going to do the best you can do with what you got from where you are for today. Every day, wake up with that and make it the best day that you can make it. Then Holmes suggests an affirmation, which I'm going to close with today as a closing prayer, kind of. So I'm not going to do the prayer. I'm going to read what Ernest Holmes wrote. So here we go. "There is nothing arising out of the past that can disturb me. The past, the present, and the future are all one unbroken stream of good. I loose all thoughts that in the past have caused anxiety. The spirit knows no past and is not affected by the belief in it. The past is swallowed up in the victory of a perfect present, which is filled with love and protection." So we are embracing a perfect present moment filled with love and protection. I am declaring that as truth for each and every one of us this morning. And I let it be because the talk is over. So it is.